The Bad Batch, episodes 1, 2, and 3 of season 3.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're back. Star Wars is back.
There's a word normally associated with the top of a mountain.
Ah,
Peak.
oh yes.
Peak. Yes, peak. Peak. And I knew it was going to be peak the minute I found out Omega had given a name to one of the hounds.
Yeah.
Once she went to feed the hound and she went, Batcher, come here, I was like, oh, we're going to cook.
I mean, from before the series came out and there was like those early reviews coming out, and I saw some that were just like, there is zero filler, and this is going to tie up all loose ends, including those set up in like Mando and stuff. I was like, oh, Dave's been cooking.
I mean, we kind of knew at the end of last
Yeah.
season that they were going to deal with some
We've seen
somehow
what's coming.
Palpatine returned.
We've seen what's coming. We know what Dave's been up to. But yeah.
But we're not going to talk about these episodes in order particularly. We're going to jump around a fair bit. I have bad news.
Oh.
I think Omega dies.
Okay. I
Just,
also
like,
have a bad
logically.
feeling, and it wasn't about Omega.
Okay.
I have a bad feeling about the island.
I have a bad feeling about everything.
Also, that is Star Wars.
But
yeah, no,
how we know-
I can see there's going to be a.
Because, I mean, unless I'm being a dumbass here, and maybe I am, the end of episode 3 confirms that Echo has, not Echo, Omega has what is necessary to carry midichlorians.
The M gene, as they called it, but we all know what that means.
From one clone to another.
Yeah, it means it. She's got whatever's in her gene setup allows it to not degrade, and potentially could even increase.
Yeah. So obviously she doesn't have any midichlorians though, which is fine. That's what they then go and get Grogu for.
Yes.
And if they're going after Grogu, that must mean they already have a way to transfer M count reliably. Which must mean they either find Omega at the end of this show, or they find a way around it without Omega. Unless I'm just smoking the biggest pack ever.
It's either, like you say, they need Omega and Grogu, or Grogu's like the second attempt.
Oh, so they don't get Omega, so they just need
Yeah.
Grogu. Okay.
Or they find a limitation with Omegas. But I think you might be more right, because I think there's maybe a possibility that Grogu's there as a way to try and increase midichlorian.
We know that species that Grogu is very force sensitive naturally.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that when you're trying to build a perfect body clone for the Emperor, you get from Omega the ability for midichlorians to transfer, and then you just find the creature with the highest midi count you can, i.e. Grogu.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a very high possibility that something's going to happen to Omega. There's my bad feeling about the island, because obviously they mentioned the island for the young clone lads that they find. We know from Rebels, we know there's only Rex. I forget the three of them now. On that, not Rex. The 3 clones that are left on that random planet in the Walker.
Yeah.
They're the last 3, as far as they know.
Yeah. And that was... No, one of them was Rex.
Yeah, it was.
It was Rex, Wolf, and someone else. I forget who.
Yeah. But like the fact that they know they're the last, if they knew the island was still about.
Rex, Wolf, and Gregor.
Gregor, that's it.
And Gregor's the one who'd lost his memory during the Clone Wars and ended up on a random planet.
The fact that there's like, they know they're the last also shows that the island. I think the island gets found out.
Either that or it does just stay there completely untouched for
Maybe,
ever up until now.
potentially, but
But yeah, no, I've got a feeling like what you should have while you're watching Rogue One, but you forget about.
do you know
And
what?
I've just been burned too many times, and I'm not going to forget that at this time and assume everyone's going to live happily ever after.
It could be that they like recapture Omega, get more of her blood, but then she escapes again and essentially kills herself to stop them doing what they're trying to do. And
So
then
they
that
get
means that
limited.
they only have a limited amount.
That would make sense.
I really liked how we knew there was some time jumping coming from the trailer. We knew we saw
Uh-huh.
Omega older. I like that they did it pretty early. And I also like the way they did it by like they really focused on the repetitiveness of the daily routine and making sure like and then the real focus on the vials clicking and that like constant focus of that then is like oh shit we've jumped how many fucking days like a month 2 months.
It is very, very rare you see an animated TV show with this level of cinematographic
Mm.
direction behind it.
Oh yeah, because like those vials, the repetitiveness, and then like as we start to figure out like, oh, they keep failing. She keeps destroying Omega. There's gonna be some point where they find out Omega's works, and then it's like as soon as her vial gets put in and it goes, obviously it's in the last slot. That tension buildup of it, like clicking round, was so well done.
It's symbolism at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like you said, the repetitive nature of Omega's day to day life and seeing how that changes, or doesn't change rather,
Mm.
but how she changes, but not
Mm-hmm.
everything else stays the same,
Yeah,
is very, very interesting.
we uh,
Um,
we also got more creatures that the Empire created.
uh huh.
Do you know what those like weird vine little jumpy things gave me? What vibes they gave me?
Go on.
The flood from Halo.
Oh yeah. Not
Which
wrong.
then I'm like, Star Wars zombies.
Honestly, I've got a feeling they want to do it really
there,
badly.
there's got to be like if there's not some point when they're trying to find out where this lab is that they stumble across just like some project name that is Project Blackwing or whatever that is like finally a hardcore reference to the zombies, I'll be sad.
Do you know what I do want to know though?
Go on.
And like, it's not an issue in the slightest. It might sound like a nitpick. It's not.
Mm.
So they call it Project Necromancer.
Hmm.
What does that mean in the Star Wars universe? Because I get that the language is the same, but necromancer is like a really specific word. Like I would have, I don't know. I'd have liked them to like who is it? It's Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Why can't it be Project Plagueis?
I know what you mean. I
Because
wonder.
necromancer just feels like they're trying to jump up and down, going, "Look, it's how Palpatine returned. Necromancer didn't really die, but hey." Whereas Project Plagueis, it feels like you just have to be a bit more switched on to get it,
Yeah.
and it makes more sense in the world, especially when we know Palpatine has referenced that he got this idea from the tragedy of
Mm,
Darth Plagueis.
that's a good
It's
point.
almost like surely he would call it, unless I don't know. Because if necromancer still means what it means, people should be able to work out based on the project name what that is. So it's
Yeah.
not like it's protecting the secrecy of it.
I get what you mean. I do also think Rex is going to show up at some point,
Absolutely. As is Cody.
which leads me more so to believe that this isn't the final season of animated Star Wars, and we're essentially going to go from Bad Batch into Rex's shenanigans. and fill the gap. I think we might get a couple of seasons. This is like a wish. It probably won't happen. Maybe not. Maybe Dave will go, right, I've tied everything up. I'm done. But
It
if
depends if we get an
just
idea of how much time they've jumped.
true. I mean, it's just like if there's a little bit of like his shenanigans up to him ending up on that planet,
Yeah.
and it fills that little gap there.
It definitely feels like they are trying to wrap up this era of Star Wars, though, to move on. Which
Yeah.
is the only reason I'm like, maybe they don't have time for another season of anything.
Um, I liked how Crosshair like came round to the plan, and then he's like, "Did they teach you Plan 70?" And then Omega's like, "Yeah, Tech made me learn him. Of course he did." Tech.
I miss Tech.
Um,
I'm stuck in two places with Tech. Obviously, I want Tech to be alive because God, I love Tech. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but if he's not dead, it ruins the emotional impact of seeing him die.
if Tech was alive, he would have been at that facility.
True. And maybe he
So,
was, and maybe he was hidden. Franken Tech.
I think what we're going to end up with now, there's obviously got to be some way that the Omega and Crosshair meet up with the other two.
Yeah.
With I think maybe Rex helps with that situation somehow. But they're obviously going to get hunted. Now they know they need Omega.
And as the Empress said, it's promising work they're doing, and it's really important to which means they do have all the resources.
Oh, the fucking vault. As soon as he mentioned the vault, I was like, oh, there you go. That's it. Like, whether they're not showing us them yet, but like, Dave's basically gone, look, I'm fucking answering the question. Here it is, finally plain as day. Like, there's a vault of clones for the Emperor, and it's about the future of the Empire. Do you want me to spell out what I'm doing?
It's exactly that. He is going to answer the question of how Palpatine returned.
Yeah.
And he's doing it the right way as well, because if he explains it to us too quickly and too easily,
People call it a cop out.
People will call it a cop out. We'll also be like, well, how did the rebels never find out?
Yeah.
But by doing it this way, like the level of secrecy and the idea that this is all going on and no one knows, and basically everyone who does know anything is going to end up dead.
Yeah, and they keep like blowing up old facilities and
yeah, it all of a sudden it's like, okay, I see how they could have hidden this.
Yep. Oh yeah, like he's Dave. I said it like I think it was back in the first. I think it was back in Bad Batch season 1 when they was little hints, and I was like, I know what Dave's doing. Dave's like he heard that line and has taken it upon himself to completely fix that, and he's been like weaving it for many moons across multiple different storylines. No, like because he knows that if he just did like just in the animated, it'd get missed by some people that won't watch it. He'll also weaving it across a huge span of time, like makes it more believable as well.
Yeah, because this science takes time. It's not a perfect science. You're trying to make clones, yeah, that's easy enough. But you're trying to make clones that are also going to keep the Jedi ability, or sorry, the Force abilities. And you don't want a weaker body, so we need to work out how to keep your exact midichlorian count, or even a more powerful one. And that's before then you even get onto the idea of how do you clone across the knowledge the person already has and stuff. Techie. I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to more episodes of this.
So,
but there is definitely going to be some sad moments to come.
Yeah, I worry for the Bad Batch squad.
But to quote Rosa Diaz, or paraphrase, this is Batcher. I've only had him for a day. If anything happened, I would kill all of you and then myself.
I knew as soon as like it was a time, I was like, they're gonna have a dog.
Yeah, Yeah, that's Clone Force 99's dog right there. Fucking Batcher. What a name. I love him. Cute little boy.
What
I was
if?
big in hell.
Yeah. Who is the least likely to want to deal with that dog?
Probably Crosshair.
Hmm. And how sad would it be if everyone else is gone and it's just Crosshair left and he has to take care of that dog?
It would be very Star Wars for Crosshair to be the only surviving member.
Hmm. And end up with Omega's pet.
Do you know what I would like to see Star Wars do as like an additional animated series if they have a bit of time before moving on from this era?
Okay.
An anthology of all of the characters that survived, like the end of the overarching story, and
Hmm.
it's just like a 10-minute episode that just covers any major events that happen to them between the end of like the Bad Batch, say Crosshair survives. So like, this is what Crosshair did from the end of the Bad Batch until the Empire was defeated. And like you get a really cool clip at the end of that of like Crosshair up on a mountain on Endor shooting stormtroopers with the Ewoks. And it's like, oh my god, he was there. He
He
helped
was there.
liberate them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would
Because
be
like
cool.
we know Old Man Rex is designed after that one guy from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And that's like a canon reason. It's like yes, Rex was there. He was there on the Battle of Endor. He helped free everyone. So I'd like that kind of a series. It's like okay, this is the character that like you're never going to see properly again. This is what happened for like the rest of their life.
Yeah, that would be cool.